general response would be it looks like the Wild Wild West, right? So there's a lot of stuff happening, but there's not a lot of rules and regulations that are really put out there for everyone to understand. And also in terms of those rules and regulations, to look at who takes on what risk and when and how. And I think there's another creeping issue on solar is the development of the code, the market code. On the market code, I've got a few concerns, right? And you might not even want to talk about this, but we don't necessarily have everybody in the room that's talking about the market code. On the market code, we have a lot of people that stand to benefit from the market code, that are driving the market code, and we don't have people in the room that are actually looking after the general retail customers. So I think we're in for a nasty shock when we implement that market code, especially implementing that market code in line with what's happening overseas. So we've got consultants that are saying, well, this is how it gets done overseas. Overseas is telling us it's not working for us. We're using a fossil fuel base to drive this market. In other words, they use marginal pricing of the last unit that comes in, and that everybody then gets that price. And those prices are either gas or coal, which is more expensive than solar. So the solar entities, or wind for that matter, get a higher price for their specific project because it's based on the highest price of the last unit. And I think it's a fundamental flaw, and I don't think we've learned any lessons from the international experience. I think we're still cutting and pasting, and we have vested interests in the space looking after the development of this market. That's where I stand. And until we actually have proper kind of cross-cutting people in the room that can raise the issues for the man in the street, the general consumer, I'm afraid I think we've actually lost the space completely. And once you've put it in place, there's very little chance to actually step back, because everybody will say, well, this is how it's going to work, and if you want to change and you've realized you've made an error, we still want to be compensated under the old scheme. Everything will, going forward, might be able to change, but everybody that's been there in the past will still want their returns and their revenue. And I'm not sure that we can afford it as a developing country. I think they need to rethink who's in the room. We're not seeing consultation processes working properly. Personally, 2 years ago, ex-colleague and I submitted to Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on the new Regulation Act. We put a lot of information in front of them, and we didn't even receive a proper response. We took weeks looking at it, no response, no feedback loop. I've submitted stuff on the just energy transition, no response. So there is no consultation process in this country, none whatsoever. It's in name a consultation process, but the feedback does not get taken into account. And at the end of the day, we're going to see this issue surfacing, where we're going to want more and more support from the fiscus, because we actually haven't costed the cost of this transition. And I'm not saying the transition must not happen. I'm just saying, let's understand the costs and let's see where we're going to allocate them, and make sure that these intermediaries that the market is now introducing are not going to take all the benefit for themselves and not pass this on to the consumer, because that's what's happening internationally. Wholesale market, with its real rules, does not provide for passing the benefits down to the consumer, because they look to see how they can maximize their profits, and then at the end of the day we're going to have to socialize all of those costs. And I just don't think it's the way we should be going. We've got the wrong people. Let me say, we've got some people in the room, but there's some people that are missing. And it's the point I made this morning on the panel that I was in. And I'm not sure whether that will be taken up, but I'm convinced. And if we're going to leave it, I'm afraid, to the government, after all of this has been done, to come and say, okay, now we're going to have a consultation, the boat sailed. It's too late.